So let's talk about globalization. It's this huge force that has totally reshaped the world we live in. And to really get our heads around it, we're going to look at India's economic journey as our main guide to see how this powerful process works, the good and, well, the not so good.
Okay, let's start with something you probably have on you right now, your phone. Have you ever actually stopped to think about the incredible journey that little device took just to get into your hands? It's a story that literally spans the entire globe, and it's the perfect window into what we're talking about today.
You see, there's a name for this crazy, intricate dance. It's called globalization, this whole process of knitting our world closer and closer together through trade and technology and money. But this stuff doesn't just happen by magic. So who are the master weavers pulling all these threads together?
While right at the very heart of globalization, you've got the multinational corporations, or MNCs. These are the absolute giants of industry. They don't just operate in one country, they're all over the planet, basically orchestrating this super complex global supply chain that, believe it or not, touches all of our lives. Now, an MNC isn't just a company that sells its products everywhere. No, it's one that produces them globally, with factories and offices and teams scattered all across the map. And the reason they do this, the main driver behind this global spread, is actually surprisingly simple.
At the end of the day, it all comes down to one thing: profit. MNCs are on a constant, relentless quest to lower their production costs. So they scan the entire globe, looking for cheaper labor, looking for raw materials, and for governments that are going to welcome their business with open arms.
Let's just trace the journey of a single product to see how this works. Okay, so it might be designed by a team in the US, right? But the actual components are made in China, where manufacturing is way cheaper. Then the technical support, the real brain power, could come from skilled engineers in India. And finally, the whole thing might get assembled in Europe, right next to the people who are going to buy it. That is the global assembly line in action.
So you might be wondering, what made this whole global production system even possible? I mean, it didn't just pop up overnight. It wasn't one single invention or one new law, but a really powerful combination of two big forces that acted like rocket fuel for the engine of globalization, letting it just take off at an incredible speed.
First, you had technology. I mean, think about it. Faster ships, faster planes, and of course, the internet. It shrank the world, making it so much easier and cheaper to move goods and information around. And second, you had policy shifts. Governments all over the world started lowering barriers to trade, a policy we call liberalization, which was basically like rolling out a giant welcome mat for foreign companies. And one of the most dramatic examples of this huge shift happened in India.
See, before 1991, India's economy was pretty closed off. They had high taxes on imports to protect their own local businesses. But then came 1991, a absolutely pivotal year. The Indian government decided to tear down those walls and invite global competition in. And the result? A huge flood of foreign investment that would completely change the country's economic landscape forever.
Now, this dramatic opening of the economy, it was a massive experiment. But who actually benefited from it and who got left behind? As we're about to see, globalization in India has really been a double-edged sword. It created some incredible opportunities for sure, but also some pretty significant challenges.
So let's talk about the bright side first. For Indian consumers, things got really exciting. All of a sudden, you had access to this whole world of new products, and they were often cheaper and better quality. Thousands of new jobs were created as foreign companies set up shop, and Indian companies, especially in the IT sector, found this huge new global market for their services. It was a boom time for them.
But, of course, that's not the whole story. For every big success, there were folks who really struggled. Small, local businesses, they just got overwhelmed by the competition from these global giants. Workers found that their jobs were way less secure in this new era of flexible labor. And the gap between the skilled and the unskilled just got wider and wider because the benefits of all this change weren't shared equally.
All this disparity, it really raises a fundamental question, doesn't it? Is the global playing field actually level? I mean, if we're all part of this one big global economy, who makes the rules? And are those rules fair to everyone? This leads us to the one organization that's supposed to be the world's trade referee. Meet the World Trade Organization, the WTO. Its official job is to promote free trade by creating and enforcing one single set of rules for all its member countries. It was started by developed nations, and its stated goal is a world with zero trade barriers. But here's the catch. A lot of people believe that the WTO's vision of free trade is kind of a one-way street. The rules, they argue, aren't always applied fairly, and this quote, man, it gets right to the very heart of that criticism. So here's the core of the whole debate. Developing nations like India are really pushed to open up their markets completely. But at the same time, a lot of the developed countries find clever ways to protect their own important industries, like agriculture. It's kind of a classic case of do as I say, not as I do.
So, we are left with this monumental question. Globalization has, without a doubt, brought our world closer together, but it has also created some really deep divides. The challenge for all of us now is to find a new path forward, one that uses the power of globalization to lift everyone up, not just a lucky few. How do we build a global economy that isn't just bigger, but is also fairer for every single person in it?